The sound of pills rattling in an empty bottle. Again. It's a hollow, plastic echo that makes the hairs on my arms stand up. Panic, cold and sharp, pricks at my skin. Not now. Please, not now. Hours. That's all I have before Jake is supposed to pick me up for our camping trip. Our first real getaway since Sarah. I always keep my epilepsy medication on the kitchen counter, right next to the coffee machine. A bright orange bottle. A beacon in my often chaotic life. It's a lifeline. That small container of precisely formulated chemicals that keeps the electrical storms in my brain at bay. Without it, I'm a walking time bomb. With it, I'm just Marcus. But the counter is bare. My hand trembles as I sweep it across the cool granite, as if the bottle might materialize under my touch. Nothing. My breath hitches. That metallic taste, the coppery tang of fear, floods my mouth. It's a taste I know too well. "Sarah?" I call out, my voice tighter than I intend. No answer. She's probably still in bed. Or maybe she left early for that yoga class she's been talking about. Our relationship. It's been deteriorating, like old wood slowly turning to dust. We tiptoe around each other, words left unsaid hanging heavy in the air. The easy laughter, the comfortable silences. They're all memories now, replaced by a constant, low hum of tension. It started subtly, a shift in the atmosphere I couldn't quite name. Now it's a chasm. This isn't the first time something of mine has gone missing right before Jake is due to come over, or before I'm supposed to see him. Last month it was my favorite hoodie, the one Jake lent me years ago. Vanished. Sarah swore she hadn't seen it. Then, 2 weeks ago, my hiking boots. I found them days later in the back of her car, covered in mud she couldn't explain. Each time a plausible deniability. Each time a knot of unease tightened in my gut. She'd always had a way of making me feel like I was the forgetful one, the one misplacing things. "Marcus, you'd lose your head if it wasn't attached," she'd say, a little laugh playing on her lips, a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. I search frantically, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The medicine cabinet in the bathroom empty, save for Sarah's endless collection of creams and serums. My nightstand drawer. Just a book and some loose change. The kitchen cupboards, one by one, revealing nothing but mugs and plates. I'm methodical. A habit born from years of needing to be organized, of needing to control my environment, to control my health. I check my gym bag, the pockets of the jacket I wore yesterday, even the damn fruit bowl. Nothing. The panic is a living thing now, clawing its way up my throat. I need those pills. A seizure out in the wilderness. It's not just dangerous, it's potentially lethal. And Jake, I can't do that to him. He's seen me have seizures before, back when we were teenagers, before the doctors found the right medication combo. The terror in his eyes then is something I never want to see again. He's my best friend, my brother in all but blood. This trip, it's important. A lifeline of a different kind. My eyes land on Sarah's purse, dumped unceremoniously on the armchair in the living room. It's a big, slouchy leather thing, a bottomless pit that usually contains half her life. A sick feeling churns in my stomach. No, she wouldn't. That's monstrous. Life-saving medication? That's a line no one crosses. Is it? But the pattern, the misplaced items, her increasing clinginess, the way her smile tightens when I mention Jake, the subtle digs about how much time I spend with him, how some people don't understand the sanctity of a relationship. My hand is shaking so badly I can barely unfasten the clasp. The metallic taste in my mouth is stronger now, almost choking me. I reach in, past the wallet, the makeup bag, the crumpled receipts. My fingers brush against something hard and cylindrical. I pull it out. The bright orange bottle. My name on the label. Marcus Thorne. Take one tablet twice daily. It's nearly full. She didn't just hide one or two, she took the whole damn bottle. The air rushes out of my lungs, leaving me hollowed out, cold. It's not just carelessness, it's not forgetfulness. This is deliberate. This is cruel. The quiet hum of tension that's been the soundtrack to our lives for months just exploded into a silent, deafening roar. And in that roar, a chilling clarity. She didn't want me to go on this trip, and she was willing to risk my life to stop me. The camping trip suddenly feels like the least of my worries. The metallic tang of panic hasn't receded, but now it's mixing with something else, something colder and harder. The room tilts, just for a second, and I grip the back of the armchair to steady myself. She knew. She knew what this medication meant. She's seen me measure out my doses, heard me talk about the importance of never missing one. We've had conversations about it, detailed ones, back when our relationship felt like a safe harbor instead of a minefield. I remember one evening, months ago, we were curled up on the sofa, watching some mindless TV show. A character in the show had a seizure. It was overly dramatic, inaccurate, like most portrayals. Sarah had turned to me, her eyes wide. Is it really like that for you?" she'd asked, her voice soft. I'd shaken my head. "Not anymore, not with the meds. But before, yeah, it could be. It's losing control completely. And it's terrifying, not just for me, but for anyone who witnesses it." I'd explained the exhaustion afterwards, the disorientation, the fear that it could happen again, anytime, anywhere, if I wasn't careful. She'd held my hand, squeezed it. "You're so strong, Marcus," she'd whispered. "I don't know how you deal with it all." Deal with it? I deal with it by taking my medication, religiously, without fail. The alternative is unthinkable. And she knew that. She knew it all. My gaze flicks towards the bedroom. Is she in there, pretending to be asleep, waiting for me to come to her? Frantic? Begging for the pills she found in some unlikely place after I'd turned the apartment upside down? Is that the game? To make me dependent on her not just for affection, but for my very health. The quiet power move, the one that doesn't involve shouting or accusations, forms in my mind. I take a deep, shuddering breath. I walk back to the kitchen counter, place the orange bottle where it belongs. My hands are steadier now, a strange calm settling over the initial wave of shock. I unscrew the cap, shake out one small, white pill. I swallow it dry, the familiar, slightly bitter taste a reassurance. I methodically check every possible location I'd already searched, making a mental note. The bathroom cabinet, still just her things. My nightstand, still just the book. The kitchen cupboards, unchanged. I do this slowly, deliberately. If she was going to claim she'd found them, I needed to be sure, but I already am. Her purse. It was in her purse. The camping trip, hours away. Jake, my best friend. This weekend was supposed to be about reconnecting, about breathing fresh air, away from the city, away from the stifling atmosphere of this apartment, away from her. I look at her purse again, lying innocently on the chair, a vessel of betrayal. The metallic taste of panic still lingers, but now it's sharpened with an icy edge of something else. Anger? No, not just anger. It's colder than that. It's the chilling realization that the woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd shared my life with, was capable of this. The quiet hum in the apartment is just the refrigerator. Sarah is still silent. I stand there, the orange bottle a solid weight in my hand now, a symbol of everything. My vulnerability, her deception. The camping trip might still happen, but everything else? Everything else just shattered. The door to our bedroom creaks open. Sarah emerges, yawning, stretching like a cat. She's wearing one of my old t-shirts. The faded blue one with the university logo. It used to make me smile, seeing her in my clothes. Now it just feels like another layer of her disguise. "Morning," she murmurs, her voice still thick with sleep. She blinks at me, a picture of sleepy innocence. "You're up early, all ready for your big adventure?" There's a slight edge to her voice when she says big adventure, a hint of something that isn't quite playful. I just look at her. The orange bottle is still in my hand. I hold it up, just slightly. "Looking for these?" Her eyes focus on the bottle. For a fraction of a second, something flickers across her face. Surprise? No, it's more calculated than that. Then, the mask of confusion slides into place. "Your pills? What are they doing in your hand? Aren't they on the counter?" "They are now," I say, my voice dangerously quiet. "They were in your purse." The air crackles. The sound of the refrigerator, which a moment ago was just a background hum, now seems deafening in the sudden silence. Rain begins to patter against the window, a soft, insistent drumbeat accompanying the storm brewing in our living room. Sarah's face crumples. It's a practiced expression, one I've seen before when she's been caught in a lie, or when she wants something. Her lower lip trembles. Tears well in her eyes, glistening, perfect crocodile tears. My purse. Marcus, no, I don't know how they could have gotten there. You must have put them there and forgotten." I didn't forget, Sarah. My voice is flat, devoid of the emotion churning inside me. The betrayal is a raw, gaping wound. Just like I didn't misplace my hoodie last month, or my hiking boots the week before you knew Jake and I were planning a hike. Her breath hitches. The tears spill over, tracing shimmering paths down her cheeks. "Oh, Marcus, no, you can't think. Why would I do that?" She takes a step towards me, her hands outstretched, pleading. "I would never, ever do anything to hurt you. You know that. I love you." The words, "I love you," hang in the air, grotesque and hollow. Love isn't this. Love isn't hiding life-saving medication. Love isn't manipulation. I've been piecing things together, Sarah. I keep my voice steady, even though inside I feel like I'm shattering into a million pieces. The lost concert tickets for that band Jake and I were going to see. The urgent family dinner you arranged the same night I was supposed to help him move. The way my phone mysteriously drops calls whenever he rings and you're nearby. Little incidents, dismissed at the time as bad luck, as my own disorganization, as faulty tech. Now, they're forming a chilling mosaic. She's openly sobbing now, sinking onto the edge of the armchair, her shoulders shaking. Okay, maybe I did get a little jealous sometimes, Jake. He takes up so much of your time, Marcus, and we haven't been connecting lately. I miss you. I need you. You need me, I repeat, the words tasting like ash. You need me, so you hide my medication? The medication that keeps me alive, that keeps me functional? You do that because you need me. The rain outside picks up, lashing against the glass, a furious counterpoint to the tremor in my voice. I can't keep the anger out anymore. It's a cold, hard fury mixing with the pain. I know it was wrong, she wails, her voice muffled by her hands. It was a horrible, stupid mistake, Marcus. I wasn't thinking. I panicked. I saw them on the counter this morning, and you were talking about the trip all excited, and I wanted you to stay. I wanted us to have the weekend together, to talk, to fix things. She looks up at me, her eyes red-rimmed, pleading. I was going to give them back. Of course I was. I wanted you to choose me. Choose me. The audacity of it steals my breath. She's framing this as some kind of romantic dilemma, a desperate act of love. Not what it is. a calculated, dangerous attempt to control me. There's nothing to fix, Sarah, I say, and the finality in my own voice surprises me. It's a truth I haven't allowed myself to acknowledge until this moment. Not anymore. I can feel my heart crumbling, the foundations of what I thought we had turning to dust. Every shared memory, every whispered confidence is now tainted by this monstrous act. How much of our relationship has been a lie? How much of her affection was just a carefully constructed facade to isolate me, to make me hers and hers alone? "Please, Marcus," she begs, scrambling to her feet, trying to grab my arm. "Don't say that. We can work through this. I'll change. I'll go to therapy. Anything. I need you more than they do. More than Jake does. He has other friends. A family. I only have you." Her voice is a desperate, clinging whisper. The raw, manipulative honesty of that statement hangs in the air. I need you more than they do. Not I love you more. Not I care about your well-being, but a stark admission of her own consuming need. I pull my arm away. The quiet power move. I take out my phone. Her eyes follow the movement, a flicker of unease finally cutting through the manufactured distress. I tap the screen, start a voice recording. "Say that again, Sarah," I say, my voice calm, but with an undercurrent of steel I didn't know I possessed. "Tell me again why you hid my medication." Her eyes widen. The tears stop as if a faucet has been turned off. "Marcus, what are you doing?" I'm making sure I remember this conversation clearly. I say, every word, because I have a feeling I'm going to need to. She stares at the phone, then at me, her expression shifting from pleading to something else. Fear? Or is it anger at being caught, at her manipulation being exposed so undeniably? You wouldn't, she whispers. Wouldn't what, Sarah? Protect myself, ensure my own safety? The words are out before I can stop them, stark and brutal. I see her flinch. Good. The rain hammers against the windows now, a relentless torrent. I can hear the sound of it, feel the oppressive dampness seeping into the room, mirroring the cold dread that has settled in my chest. She opens her mouth, then closes it again, the fight seemingly draining out of her. She looks smaller suddenly, less like a master manipulator and more like a cornered animal. I just wanted you here, she says, her voice barely audible above the storm. I get so scared you're going to leave me. And risking my life was your solution? The question hangs there, unanswered, unanswerable. I turn off the recording, slide the phone into my pocket. The small digital file feels like a weapon, a shield, something concrete in the swirling chaos of her emotional onslaught. I'm going on my trip, Sarah, I say, my voice firm. I walk towards the bedroom, the one where my duffel bag lies half-packed. We'll talk when I get back. But I know, even as I say it, that there's nothing left to talk about. The exposure of this one act has illuminated everything else, all the little deceptions, the subtle isolations. Her eyes, which moments ago were wide with feigned panic, now narrow. She notices the phone in my pocket, or rather, the act of me putting it away. You recorded that? She asks, her voice low and dangerous. The crocodile tears are completely gone, replaced by a chilling stillness. Yes, I say, not meeting her gaze, already halfway to the bedroom door. Marcus, wait! Her voice is sharper now, an edge of panic, real panic, this time lacing her tone. Don't just walk away. We need to talk about this, now. I pause at the threshold, my back to her. The image of the pills in her purse, my lifeline carelessly tossed among her everyday belongings, flashes in my mind. The sheer, calculated cruelty of it. I don't think we do, Sarah, I step into the bedroom, leaving her standing alone in the living room. The sound of the rain my only companion as I begin to pack. Not just for a camping trip, but for a life without her. The weight of her betrayal is a heavy cloak, but beneath it, a small, defiant ember of self-preservation is starting to glow. She tried to take away my control, my health, my friendships. She won't succeed. The rough canvas of my duffel bag feels grounding under my fingers as I methodically pack. Tent, sleeping bag, cook stove. Each item is a small piece of normalcy. A tangible link to the life I had before this morning's shattering revelation. The life Sarah has been systematically trying to dismantle. My hands are still shaking, but there's a grim purpose to my movements now. I need to get out of this apartment, away from her. The air in here feels thick with her deceit, suffocating. I pull out my phone, my thumb hovering over Jake's name. I should call him, tell him I might be late, or that what? That my girlfriend tried to sabotage our trip by hiding my epilepsy medication? It sounds insane, even to me. Instead, I dial my sister, Emma. She's always been my rock, the one person who can see through any pretense. The phone rings twice before she picks up. Marcus, hey, you okay? You sound a bit off. Her voice, warm and familiar, is a balm to my frayed nerves. Something's happened. I sink onto the edge of the bed, the camping gear a jumble around me. And then the words pour out, about the missing pills, finding them in Sarah's purse, the confrontation. I don't tell her about the recording yet, just the raw, unbelievable facts. There's a stunned silence on the other end of the line. Then, Emma's voice, tight with anger. She what? Marcus, are you serious? Your medication? That's not just manipulative, that's dangerous. What if you'd had a seizure? I know, Em. I know. Relief washes over me, so potent it's almost dizzying. She believes me. Instantly. No hesitation. Okay, Emma says, her voice shifting into practical mode. Okay, deep breaths. Are you safe now? Do you have your pills? Yeah, I took one. I have the bottle. Good. Now tell me everything. And don't leave anything out. As I talk, as I recount Sarah's tearful, self-serving explanations, Emma listens, interjecting with sharp questions that cut through the fog of my own confusion. And as I speak, the pieces of a much larger, more insidious pattern begin to click into place. Marcus, Emma says slowly, her voice heavy with a dawning understanding that mirrors my own. Remember when Mom and Dad were planning that surprise visit for your birthday last year? And then they suddenly canceled? Yeah, I say. Sarah said they'd called her, said something had come up with Dad's health, nothing serious, but they couldn't travel. I was disappointed, but she told them you were going through a really rough patch, Emma says, her voice laced with fury. That you were stressed, unstable, and that a surprise visit would be too much for you. She told them you'd asked her to tell them not to come, that you needed space. The camping gear blurs before my eyes. My parents. She'd lied to them. She'd lied about me. I remember their stilted phone call on my birthday, the awkwardness I'd attributed to their disappointment at not being there. Now I realize it was confusion, hurt, because they thought I'd pushed them away. And what about your old college roommate, Dave? Emma continues, her voice like a relentless investigator's. The one you were supposed to have dinner with a few months back? The one who supposedly stood you up? Images flash in my mind. Dave, my usually reliable friend, a no-show. My texts unanswered. My calls going straight to voicemail. Sarah had been so sympathetic. Maybe he just forgot, honey. Or maybe something came up. Don't worry about it. Sarah called him Marcus, Emma says, her voice grim. She told him you'd had a minor episode, and weren't feeling up to it, that you were embarrassed and didn't want to talk to anyone. She said you'd reschedule. He's been worried sick about you, but he didn't want to pressure you. A wave of nausea rolls over me. Cancelled plans, lost invitations, messages that never seemed to get through. Each one, a carefully placed stone in the wall Sarah has been building around me, isolating me brick by brick. The rough texture of the sleeping bag under my hand is a stark contrast to the smooth, slippery nature of her lies. All those times, I whisper, the full weight of her deception crashing down on me. All those friends who just drifted away. I thought it was me. I thought I was bad at keeping in touch. No, Marcus, it wasn't you. It was her. Emma's voice is soft now, but firm. She's been systematically cutting you off from everyone who cares about you. Don't you see? This thing with Jake's trip, with your medication, it's not an isolated incident, it's an escalation. My mind is reeling, connecting the dots, unraveling months, maybe even years of subtle manipulation. The times she'd answered my phone, then claimed it was a wrong number. The way she'd accidentally deleted contacts. Her insistence on managing our joint social calendar, which somehow always resulted in fewer and fewer outings with my friends and family, and more time just with her. I realize now why Jake has been so distant lately, why our conversations have felt strained. He must have thought I was blowing him off, choosing Sarah over our friendship. The pain of that thought is a fresh stab to the heart. I need to document this, Em, I say, my voice gaining a new resolve. All of it. This isn't just about a ruined camping trip anymore. This is about reclaiming my life. Quietly, methodically, I begin to make a list on my phone. Every instance I can remember, every canceled plan, every misunderstanding. Every person Sarah has driven away. The list grows, each entry a testament to her calculated campaign of isolation. The dates, the names, the excuses she'd given. It's a chilling chronicle of emotional abuse. As I'm typing, a key turns in the front door lock. My head snaps up. Sarah, she's back. But why? I thought she'd stay in the living room stewing. She walks into the bedroom, her face pale but set with a strange determination. In her hand, she's holding her own phone and a small, crumpled photograph. Marcus, we need to talk about Jake, she says, her voice surprisingly firm. I know you think he's your best friend, but he's not good for you. He's a bad influence. I have proof. She holds out the photograph. It's old, faded. A picture of Jake and me from college, at some wild party, beers in our hands, looking young and stupid. See, she says, he's always leading you astray. He doesn't care about your health, about your future. I'm the one who cares about you, Marcus. I'm the one trying to protect you. The sheer, unadulterated gall of it leaves me speechless. She's trying to flip this. She's trying to use some ancient photo as evidence that Jake is the problem, not her. Not the woman who just hours ago hid my life-saving medication. The ember of self-preservation within me roars into a flame. Her words, meant to manipulate, to paint Jake as the villain and herself as my savior, have the opposite effect. They solidify my resolve. She's not just trying to control me. She's actively trying to poison my closest relationships. Protect me, Sarah? I ask, my voice dangerously calm. I don't even look at the photo she's offering. Is that what you were doing when you hid my epilepsy medication? Protecting me from a weekend of fresh air and friendship? She flinches, the evidence in her hand wavering. That was a mistake, Marcus. I told you. I was scared. I wasn't thinking clearly. But this is different. Jake is constantly pulling you back into a lifestyle that's not good for your condition. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. I stand up, my own phone clutched in my hand like a lifeline. The list I've been compiling, Emma's revelations, the recording of Sarah's confession, it all paints a very different picture. I think I'm capable of deciding who's good for me, Sarah, I say, my voice even. I need to stay calm, to think clearly. Her desperation is making her sloppy, but she's still dangerous. As she continues her tirade about Jake, his irresponsibility, his supposed bad influence, his lack of concern for my well-being, a cold thought snakes its way into my mind. My phone mysteriously drops calls whenever he rings and you're nearby. Emma's words, and Sarah's earlier comment about me talking to Jake on the phone, all excited this morning. How did she know I was excited if she was supposedly asleep? Had she been listening? An idea, ugly and unsettling, begins to form. While she's distracted, trying to sell me her narrative of Jake the Corruptor, I slip my old phone out of my backpack. It's ancient, a model I replaced over a year ago, but I kept it for emergencies. The battery is usually dead, but I'd charged it last week, thinking it might be useful as a backup music player for the trip. With Sarah still ranting, her back partially turned as she gestures wildly, I power it on. The screen flickers to life. My old texts, my old call logs, things I haven't looked at in ages. My heart hammers as I scroll through messages from Jake. And then I see them. Gaps. Conversations that abruptly end. Replies I know I sent but aren't there. And then messages from him increasingly frustrated. Dude, where are you? You were supposed to be here an hour ago. Marcus, you okay? Ignoring me again? Fine. Guess you're too busy. Messages I never received. She hadn't just been causing my current phone to drop calls. She'd had access to my old phone. She must have. How else could she have deleted messages so selectively? Or maybe a horrible suspicion dawns. Cloud backups, syncing. Had she somehow linked my accounts? My coffee, brewed hours ago in what feels like a different lifetime, sits cold and forgotten on my nightstand. The acrid smell of it fills my nostrils, a bitter counterpoint to the sickening realization dawning on me. I need more than just my memories and Emma's anecdotal evidence. I need proof, undeniable proof. Sarah, I interrupt her, my voice sharp enough to make her stop mid-sentence. I need to check something. Before she can react, I grab my laptop from my desk. I open it, my fingers flying across the keyboard, logging into my phone account, my cloud storage. My blood runs cold. Recent activity. Logins from IP addresses I don't recognize, but are probably linked to her devices. Files accessed. Message logs. And there it is. Deleted items. Backups. With a few frantic clicks, I initiate a restore of my text messages from a recent backup, one taken before she could have systematically purged them. The progress bar crawls across the screen, each percentage point an eternity. Sarah watches me, her eyes narrowed, suspicion dawning. What are you doing, Marcus? What are you looking for? The truth, Sarah, I say, my voice tight. And then, the messages flood in. Texts from Jake, concerned, confused, then hurt. Messages from Emma asking why I hadn't replied to her questions about Mom and Dad's visit. Messages from my parents, sounding bewildered after Sarah's supposed call on my behalf. Messages from Dave, asking if I was okay after canceling dinner. All of them manipulated, twisted, or outright deleted by her. But it's worse than that. Interspersed with the recovered messages are screenshots. Screenshots she must have taken from my phone or from her own, documenting her lies. A message she sent to my mother, pretending to be me, saying I was overwhelmed and needed space. A fabricated exchange with Jake, making it look like he was the one being flaky and unreliable. Emails to my old boss, subtly hinting at my instability, right before my contract wasn't renewed. She hadn't just been isolating me. She'd been actively sabotaging my relationships, my career, my reputation. spreading lies about my erratic behavior to justify her control, to make everyone else believe she was the stable one, the caregiver, the long-suffering girlfriend. And then, the final, sickening discovery, a location tracking app, one I don't remember installing. It's been active for months, silently pinging my whereabouts to her device, every coffee shop meeting, every trip to the gym, every visit to Emma's place. She's known where I was, constantly. The sheer scale of the deception is staggering. It's not just about jealousy or neediness. This is a calculated, systematic campaign of psychological warfare. My hands are shaking so violently I can barely control the mouse. I start taking screenshots of everything. Her fake messages, the login histories, the location data. I save them, back them up to a secure cloud account she can't possibly access, an account she doesn't even know exists. Each click is a small act of defiance, a piece of armor I'm forging against her. The acrid smell of the cold coffee seems to permeate the room, the stench of her betrayal. I feel sick to my stomach, exposed, violated. The key turns in the front door. Again. My head snaps up, my heart leaping into my throat. Sarah is still standing there, watching me with a predatory stillness. If she's here, then who? The door opens, and a woman I instantly recognize strides in, her face a mask of grim determination. Sarah's mother, Carol. Sarah's lips curve into a small, triumphant smile. "Mom's here, Marcus," she says, her voice chillingly sweet. "She's come to help us sort things out." Reinforcements. She's brought reinforcements. And I know, with a certainty that chills me to the bone, that Carol isn't here to mediate. She's here to join the fight, and I'm the enemy. Carol bustles into the bedroom, her eyes sharp and assessing, taking in the scene. Me at the laptop, the duffel bag half-packed, Sarah standing by with that unnervingly calm expression. Carol is a formidable woman, all sharp angles and a steely gaze that has always made me uncomfortable. She's always been fiercely protective of Sarah, sometimes to an unnerving degree. "Marcus, dear," Carol begins, her voice deceptively gentle, the kind that precedes a verbal assault. "Sarah called me. She's very worried about you. We all are." "Worried about me?" I manage, my voice hoarse. The evidence on my laptop screen burns in my vision. The lies, the tracking, the manipulation. "Yes, dear," Carol says, placing a comforting arm around Sarah's shoulders. Sarah leans into her, playing the part of the concerned, vulnerable daughter perfectly. She says you've been unwell, agitated, not yourself. And this fixation on your medication, hiding it yourself and then blaming poor Sarah? She clucks her tongue, a sound of pity that grates on my already raw nerves. The tag team manipulation begins. It's slick, practiced. Sarah feeds her mother lines, little whimpers of distress, skewed versions of events. Carol listens, nods sympathetically, then turns to me with pronouncements and accusations disguised as concern. "She found your pills in your own gym bag, Marcus," Carol says, her voice firm. "You must have put them there after your workout and forgotten. It's understandable, dear, when one is under stress." "They were in her purse," I state, my gaze unwavering, fixed on Sarah. And I have the recording of her admitting it. Sarah gasps, a theatrical sound. "He's twisting things, Mom. He was yelling at me. He scared me. I only said what he wanted to hear to make him stop." "Now, Marcus," Carol says, her tone hardening. "There's no need for aggression. We're here to help. Sarah is deeply concerned about your mental state. Frankly, so am I. This erratic behavior, these accusations, it's not healthy. They're trying to gaslight me, to make me doubt my own sanity, my own memory. The oppressive feeling of being outnumbered in my own home, in my own bedroom, is suffocating. Two sets of eyes drilling into me, judging me, condemning me. My behavior is a reaction to her actions," I say, gesturing towards Sarah. She's been lying to me, isolating me from my friends, my family. She tracked my location. She tried to stop me from going on this trip by hiding my life-saving medication. Each word is an effort, a struggle against the tide of their combined denial. "Oh, Marcus," Sarah says, her voice dripping with false pity. "You're really not well, are you? You're imagining things. You need help." Then comes the threat, delivered by Carol with chilling precision. "Marcus, if you can't see that you're having some sort of episode, then perhaps we need to consider getting professional help for you. For your own good, of course. A call to your doctor, perhaps. Explain the situation. They might agree that a short hospital stay for observation." My blood runs cold. They're threatening to have me committed, to use my epilepsy, my genuine medical condition, against me, to paint me as mentally unstable, unfit to make my own decisions. It's a classic abuser's tactic, and it's terrifyingly effective. The thought of being trapped, of my medical autonomy being stripped away based on their lies. I look from Carol's hard, resolute face to Sarah's tear-streaked, manipulative one. They're a united front, a well-oiled machine of deceit. The room feels like it's closing in on me, but the evidence on my laptop, the list on my phone, the recording, they're real. I am not the one who is unwell. My fingers, hidden beneath the lip of the desk, find my phone. With trembling desperation, I type out a short, frantic text to Emma and Jake. "SOS. Sarah and her mom here. Accusing me of being unstable. Threatening to call Doc. Say I'm having mental crisis. Trying to stop me leaving. Need help. Have evidence." I attach the recording of Sarah's confession and a few of the most damning screenshots of her fabricated messages. My heart pounds as I hit send. Will they get it in time? Will they understand? "We just want what's best for you, Marcus," Sarah says, her voice soft again, a siren's call. She takes a step towards me, her hand outstretched. "Let us help you." "Stay away from me," I manage, my voice a low growl. Carol steps forward. "Now, Marcus, that's enough. You're clearly overwrought. Perhaps it's best if you don't go on this camping trip. You need to rest. We can call Jake, explain—" "You'll do no such thing," I say, pushing myself to my feet. My legs feel shaky, but my resolve is hardening. I am not going to let them do this. I make a move towards my duffel bag, intending to grab it and walk out. But Carol is surprisingly quick. She positions herself between me and the door. Sarah flanks her. They're blocking my exit. "This is for your own good, Marcus," Carol says, her voice devoid of any real warmth. "Where are my car keys?" I demand, a new wave of panic rising. I always leave them on the hook by the door. I glance over. The hook is empty. Sarah looks down, a small, almost imperceptible smile playing on her lips. I think they were on the kitchen counter, dear. Maybe they fell off." "They've hidden my keys. They're physically preventing me from leaving. This isn't concern, this is imprisonment." The oppressive feeling intensifies, the air thick with their unspoken intentions. My home, my sanctuary, has become a trap, and the hunters are closing in. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a small vibration of hope, but I can't look at it now. Not with them watching me like this. The battle lines are drawn, and I'm terrifyingly outmaneuvered. Or am I? Trapped. The word echoes in my mind. They're blocking the door, my keys are missing, and they're radiating a chilling determination. Sarah's earlier crocodile tears are a distant memory, replaced by a hard, almost predatory glint in her eyes, mirrored by her mother's steely resolve. "Marcus, just sit down," Carol says, her voice firm, authoritative. "Let's all just calm down and talk this through like rational adults." Rational adults? The irony is a bitter pill. They're the ones acting irrationally, dangerously. But arguing with them, I realize, is pointless. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in control. My mind races, searching for an out. My phone buzzed. Emma and Jake. They know. They have the evidence. But how long will it take them to react, to understand the urgency? I need a distraction, something to break their united front, to create an opening. My eyes dart around the room, landing on the half-packed duffel bag, then on the cluttered top of Sarah's dressing table across the room. Perfume bottles, jewelry boxes, a teetering stack of fashion magazines. An idea, desperate and risky, sparks in my mind. I take a deep breath, feigning a sigh of resignation. Okay, I say, letting my shoulders slump. Okay, you're right. Maybe I am just stressed, overwrought. I run a hand through my hair, trying to look defeated. Sarah and Carol exchange a subtle, triumphant glance. They think they're winning. I just need a minute, I stammer, avoiding eye contact. Can I just get a glass of water? Carol hesitates, then nods slowly. Of course, dear, but Sarah will go with you. Perfect. That splits them up. As Sarah steps forward, ready to escort me, I make my move. Not towards the kitchen, but towards her dressing table. In one swift, desperate motion, I sweep my arm across its surface. Perfume bottles crash to the floor, shattering, the cloying scent exploding into the air. Jewelry skitters across the wood. The magazines cascade downwards in a papery avalanche. My things! Sarah shrieks, her carefully constructed composure vanishing. She lunges towards the mess, momentarily forgetting her guard duty. Carol whirls around, startled by the sudden chaos. Marcus! What on earth? That's my chance. I bolt. I don't grab my duffel bag, don't look for my keys, I just run. Out of the bedroom, through the small hallway. Carol shouts my name, a sound of outrage and surprise. Sarah is still screeching about her spilled perfume. I reach the front door, my hand fumbling for the deadbolt. It's locked, of course it is. Behind me I hear Carol's footsteps, heavy and urgent. Marcus, stop this instant! My fingers find the latch, twist it. The lock clicks open. I yank the door open and stumble out into the apartment building hallway, gasping for air. Freedom. Or at least a temporary reprieve. And then, the most welcome sound I've ever heard. The ding of the elevator arriving on our floor, and Jake's cheerful, unsuspecting voice. Yo, Marcus, ready to hit the road, buddy? He steps out of the elevator, duffel bag slung over his shoulder, a wide grin on his face. The grin freezes as he takes in the scene. Me, wild-eyed and breathless in the hallway, the sounds of Sarah's continued hysterics and Carol's furious shouts echoing from my apartment. Dude, what the? Jake begins, his eyes wide with confusion and concern. Before I can explain, Sarah appears in the doorway, her face contorted with rage. Marcus, you get back in here! You're not going anywhere! Her voice is shrill, desperate. The mask has completely shattered. This is the real Sarah, the manipulative, controlling woman I've been living with. Jake looks from her to me, his expression hardening as he begins to grasp that something is seriously wrong. He's seen glimpses of Sarah's possessiveness before, the subtle ways she'd try to monopolize my time, but never anything like this. Actually, Sarah, I say, my voice surprisingly steady, fueled by adrenaline and a desperate need to escape. I am. I turn to Jake. Grab my bag from the bedroom and my laptop. Please, no time to explain. Jake doesn't hesitate. He's always been the kind of friend who acts first and asks questions later in a crisis. He pushes past a sputtering Sarah and disappears into the apartment. Carol is now in the doorway beside her daughter, her face a mask of fury. You are not leaving, Marcus. We need to discuss your condition. My only condition right now is a severe allergy to manipulation and gaslighting, I retort, backing towards the elevator. Jake reappears, my duffel bag in one hand, my laptop bag in the other. He also has a small, triumphant grin. Got your keys too, man. They were on the kitchen island, under a dish rag. He tosses them to me. I catch them, the cool metal a reassuring weight in my palm. Sarah lets out a wail of frustration. You can't just leave, Marcus! I love you! The words sound hollow, pathetic, even to my own ears. The slam of the car door, metaphorically, is about to happen. I step into the elevator with Jake. He hits the ground floor button. As the elevator doors begin to slide shut, cutting off Sarah's frantic, screaming face and Carol's thunderous expression, Sarah unleashes her parting shot. If you walk out that door, Marcus, I'll destroy everything you own. Every book, every photo, every piece of your life in that apartment. It will all be gone. The doors close, encasing us in a sudden, surreal silence. The only sound is the hum of the elevator descending and my own ragged breathing. I look at Jake. His face is a mixture of shock, concern, and dawning understanding. Dude, he says slowly, what the hell was that? And what did she mean, your condition? The adrenaline is starting to wear off, leaving me shaky and nauseous. I lean against the cool metal wall of the elevator. It's a long story, Jake, I say, my voice trembling. A really, really long story. But first, we need to get out of here, and I need to call Emma. The quiet power move. As we'd bundled into the elevator, I'd pulled a folded piece of paper from my pocket, a quickly printed list of Sarah's manipulations and the most damning screenshots of her fake messages. I'd left it on the kitchen counter, not for her, but for whatever came next. For the police, maybe. For my own sanity. A small piece of truth left behind in that house of lies. The camping trip was definitely still on, but it was no longer just a getaway. It was an escape, and the first step towards reclaiming my life. The fluorescent buzz of the 24-hour diner's lights is a harsh contrast to the natural light we were supposed to be heading towards. Instead of setting up tents by a lake, Jake and I are hunched over a booth, lukewarm coffee, and a shared plate of rapidly cooling fries. The adrenaline from the escape has faded, leaving behind a bone-deep weariness and a gnawing anxiety. She hid your epilepsy medication? Jake's voice is incredulous. He's been mostly silent since we left my apartment building, listening with growing horror as I recounted the morning's events, Sarah's confession, her mother's arrival, the threats. Yeah, I say, rubbing my temples. The diner's relentless muzak is drilling into my skull. Said she wanted me to stay, to choose her. Jake stares at me, his usual easygoing expression replaced by a mixture of anger and disbelief. Choose her. Marcus, that's not just messed up, man. That's certifiably insane and dangerous. What if you'd gone on the trip without it? Exactly. The fear I'd suppressed during the confrontation, during the escape, is starting to creep back in, cold and insidious. My phone buzzes on the table. It's Emma. Marcus, are you okay? I got your text. Jake too, we're on our way. Where are you? Her voice is tight with worry. I give her the diner's address. Emma, it was worse than I thought. While we wait for her, Jake and I meticulously go through the evidence I'd managed to gather. The screenshots of Sarah's fabricated texts, the IP login histories, the location tracking data. Jake, who works in IT, immediately recognizes the tracking app. This thing is nasty spyware, man. She's been monitoring your every move. He scrolls through the recovered messages from him to me, his brow furrowed. So, all those times I thought you were blowing me off. She was deleting my texts, or making it look like I was the one flaking? He shakes his head, a muscle working in his jaw. I feel like such an idiot for not realizing something was seriously wrong. Don't, Jake, I say. She's good at this. Really good. She fooled me for months, maybe years. The diner door chimes, and Emma rushes in, her face pale but resolute. She slides into the booth beside me, her eyes scanning me for any sign of injury. Are you hurt? Did they? No, I'm okay. We got out. Emma brought her own ammunition, her phone filled with screenshots of Sarah's communications with our family, lies about my fragile mental state, requests for them to give Marcus space, explanations for why I was too unwell. For visits or family events, each one a carefully crafted piece of disinformation designed to isolate me further. She told Mom and Dad you'd had a breakdown after losing your job, Emma says, her voice trembling with suppressed fury, and that you'd forbidden her from telling them the full extent of your problems. They've been worried sick, calling me every other day, asking if you were all right, if you needed money. Sarah told them you were too proud to accept help. The weight of it all feels crushing. My own parents, manipulated into believing I was falling apart and pushing them away. This isn't just about a toxic relationship, Marcus, Jake says, his voice grim as he looks at the combined evidence spread across the sticky tabletop. This is harassment, stalking. What she did with your medication, that's got to be illegal, right? I don't know, I admit, feeling overwhelmed. But I can't let her get away with this. She threatened to destroy my things. She might already be doing it. The thought of my books, my photos, my personal belongings being systematically annihilated by her rage makes me feel sick. Emma takes my hand. We fight back, Marcus, legally. My phone buzzes again. Multiple missed calls from Sarah. Then one from Carol. I ignore them. The fluorescent lights of the diner seem to hum with a new intensity, the clatter of cutlery and low murmur of other patrons fading into a dull roar in my ears. Pie. We need pie. And a plan. I have a friend, I say slowly, an idea forming. Liam. We were in a band together years ago. He's a lawyer now. Does a lot of pro bono stuff. Maybe he can give us some advice. I find Liam's number and step outside into the cool night air to make the call. The city sounds are a welcome change from the oppressive silence of my apartment, then the forced intimacy of the diner. Marcus? Man, it's been ages. What's up? Liam's voice is as cheerful and energetic as I remember. I give him the condensed version, trying to keep my voice steady. The hidden medication, the tracking, the lies, the threats. As I speak, I can hear his tone shifting from friendly curiosity to serious concern. Whoa, Marcus, this is heavy stuff, he says when I finish. What she did with your medication, that's endangerment at the very least. The tracking, the constant messaging after you've told her to stop, that's stalking. And the lies to your family, the isolation. That's a clear pattern of coercive control. Coercive control. The term hits me hard. It's exactly what she's been doing. What can I do, Liam? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. You need to document everything, he says, his voice all business now. Dates, times, specific incidents. Get sworn affidavits from Jake and Emma about what they witnessed, what she told them. The evidence you have on your phone and laptop is crucial. Back it all up. And then, Marcus, you need to consider a restraining order. A restraining order. The words hang in the air, stark and serious. It feels extreme, like something from a movie. But then, what Sarah has done is extreme. Do you think a judge would grant it? Based on what you've told me, especially the medication incident and the threats, I'd say you have a very strong case, Liam says. This isn't just a bad breakup, Marcus. This is abuse. You need to protect yourself. We can file for an emergency order first thing Monday morning." Relief, sharp and profound, washes over me. There's a path forward, a way to fight back. I go back into the diner, the fluorescent lights suddenly seeming less harsh, the muzak less grating. "Liam says we have a case," I announce to Emma and Jake. "A strong one, for a restraining order." Emma lets out a shaky breath. Jake nods, his expression grim but determined. "Whatever you need, man, I'm with you." We spend the next hour strategizing, organizing the evidence, fueled by coffee and a shared sense of purpose. Emma meticulously documents her interactions with Sarah, the lies Sarah fed her about my well-being. Jake prepares a statement about finding the medication in Sarah's purse, her behavior when he arrived, and her threats. We make copies of everything, back it all up again. The pile of evidence grows, a testament to Sarah's calculated cruelty and my dawning resolve. The missed calls from Sarah and her mother continue, a frantic, incessant buzzing on my phone screen. I finally silence it, the act a small but significant reclaiming of my peace. As the first hint of dawn streaks the sky outside the diner window, Liam calls back. "One more thing, Marcus. The threat to destroy your property? If she acts on that, it's another criminal charge. Malicious destruction of property. If she's at your apartment now, or if she goes there, call the police immediately. Don't confront her yourself." The thought of Sarah, alone in my apartment, potentially wrecking everything I own, is a fresh wave of anxiety. But Liam's words are clear. "Stay away. Let the law handle it." The camping trip. It seems almost surreal now, a distant dream of peace and quiet. But we decide to go ahead with it. I need the space, the clarity, the support of my friends. And I need to be away from the city, away from her, while Liam starts preparing the legal paperwork. As we finally leave the diner, the rising sun glinting off the wet pavement, I feel a fragile sense of hope. The fight is far from over. But for the first time in a long time, I don't feel completely alone or completely powerless. I have my friends, I have the truth, and soon I'll have the law on my side. The drive out of the city is quiet. The initial adrenaline and strategic fervor from our diner war room have given way to a heavy exhaustion. Jake drives, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, occasionally glancing at me with a concerned frown. Emma, in the back seat, pores over the notes and screenshots on her phone, her expression a mixture of anger and determination. I stare out the window, the urban sprawl slowly giving way to rolling hills, and then, finally, the dense green of the state forest. Pine trees, tall and stoic, line the winding road. The air, even through the closed car windows, seems cleaner, fresher. Setting up camp is a familiar ritual, a comforting rhythm of shared tasks. Unpacking the car, unfurling the tents, gathering firewood. The physical labor is a welcome distraction, a way to channel the nervous energy still thrumming through me. The crackling of the campfire, as Jake finally gets it going, is a soothing sound, a counterpoint to the frantic buzzing of Sarah's calls that I'd finally silenced. The rich, earthy smell of pine needles and damp soil fills my lungs, a welcome change from the stale, recycled air of the city and the oppressive atmosphere of my apartment. As dusk settles, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, we sit around the fire, the only sounds the whispering of the wind in the trees and the occasional pop and hiss of the burning logs. "You know," Jake says, poking at the fire with a stick, "I always thought Sarah was a bit much, clingy, but I never imagined this." He shakes his head. "Hiding your meds, man. That's a whole other level of crazy." "Coercive control," I say, the term Liam used echoing in my mind. It wasn't just about the meds or this trip. It was about everything, isolating me, making me dependent on her. Emma nods, her face illuminated by the firelight. She played us all, Marcus. She made us think you were the one pulling away, that you were the one with problems. It was so subtle, so manipulative. Talking about it helps. Voicing the ugly truths, sharing the burden of the betrayal. We spend hours dissecting Sarah's behavior, piecing together the timeline of her deceptions. Each shared memory, each realization, is like lancing a wound, painful but necessary for healing to begin. Jake recalls instances where Sarah had subtly undermined my confidence, questioned my decisions. Emma remembers conversations where Sarah had painted herself as the long-suffering, devoted girlfriend, struggling to cope with my supposed moods. The more we talk, the clearer the picture becomes. Sarah hadn't just been jealous or insecure. She had been actively, maliciously working to dismantle my life, to rebuild it with her at the absolute center, the sole gatekeeper of my happiness, my health, my relationships. Throughout the weekend, I stay in close contact with Liam via text and brief, hushed phone calls when I can get a signal. He's already drafting the affidavit for the emergency restraining order. He tells me to keep my phone on, to document any further contact from Sarah, but not to engage. Her calls and texts continue, a barrage of desperate pleas, then angry accusations, then tearful apologies. I read a few, my stomach churning, then resolutely block her number. I block her on social media, too, the act of clicking confirm, a small but deeply satisfying step towards severing ties. It's a quiet power move, reclaiming my digital space, my peace of mind. The woods are a sanctuary. The rustling leaves, the distant call of an owl, the feel of the cool earth beneath my hiking boots. It all helps to ground me, to clear my head. I spend hours just walking, breathing, trying to process the enormity of what has happened. The grief for the relationship I thought I had is there, a dull ache in my chest. But stronger than the grief is a growing anger, and a fierce determination to not let her destroy me. Jake is a constant, steady presence. He doesn't press me to talk, but he's there to listen when I need to. We fish in the lake, mostly in silence. We cook meals over the open fire. We reminisce about old times, stupid pranks, shared dreams. His uncomplicated friendship is a lifeline, a reminder of the genuine connections Sarah had tried so hard to sever. He tells me about the awkwardness he'd felt, the times he'd suspected Sarah was intentionally excluding him, but he'd brushed it off, not wanting to cause trouble between us. "I should have said something, man," he says, his voice rough with regret. "You couldn't have known," I tell him. "I didn't even know." On the second night, as we're staring into the hypnotic dance of the campfire flames, my phone, which I'd unblocked briefly to check for updates from Liam, rings. It's not Liam, it's Emma. Her voice is frantic. "Marcus, you need to come back, now!" "Emma, what's wrong?" My heart seizes, the peaceful atmosphere of the woods instantly shattered. "It's Sarah," Emma says, her voice tight with panic. "She's at your apartment. She somehow got in. Our neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, called me. She heard crashing sounds, shouting, 'Marcus, I think she's destroying your place.'" The crackling of the campfire suddenly sounds menacing. The smell of pine, so comforting moments ago, now feels cloying. The wilderness, my sanctuary, can't protect me from the chaos Sarah is capable of unleashing. The healing retreat is over. It's time to go back and face the storm. The drive back to the city is a blur of speed and anxiety. Jake pushes his old truck to its limits, the engine roaring in protest, while Emma, on speakerphone, gives us updates. Mrs. Henderson, our elderly neighbor, had apparently seen Sarah Jimmy open a window at the back of my apartment. She'd called the police, then Emma. My mind races. My apartment. My books collected over years, each one a friend. My photographs, tangible memories of a life Sarah tried to erase. My clothes, my furniture, the few small treasures I'd inherited from my grandparents. All of it, vulnerable to her rage. Liam's warning about malicious destruction of property echoes in my ears. This could be the final piece of evidence, the undeniable proof of her instability, her vindictiveness. We pull up to my apartment building just as a police car is arriving, its lights flashing, casting an eerie, pulsing blue glow over the familiar street. My heart hammers against my ribs. 2 officers are already talking to a shaken Mrs. Henderson at the entrance. She points towards my apartment as we rush up. "Marcus Thorne?" one of the officers asks, his expression grim. "We had a report of a break-in and disturbance." "Yes, that's my apartment," I say, my voice hoarse. "My ex-girlfriend, I think she's inside. She threatened to destroy my belongings." The officers exchange a look. "Stay here, sir," one of them says. Then they proceed towards my door, their hands resting on their holstered weapons. The door is slightly ajar. One officer pushes it open cautiously, announcing their presence. "Police, anyone inside?" Silence. Then, a muffled sob. The officers enter, and we follow, my heart in my throat. The scene that greets us is one of utter devastation. It's like a hurricane has ripped through my small apartment. Books are torn from shelves, their pages ripped and scattered. Cushions are slashed. A lamp lies shattered on the floor, its shade crumpled. My television screen is cracked, a spiderweb of broken glass. Clothes are strewn everywhere, some ripped, some stained with what looks like coffee or wine. And in the middle of it all, surrounded by the wreckage of my life, stands Sarah. Her hair is wild, her face tear-streaked and contorted with a mixture of rage and despair. Her hands are covered in ink from a broken pen she must have used to deface my photos, which are scattered across the floor, scrawled with vicious messages. She's holding a shard of broken ceramic, a remnant of a vase my grandmother had given me. When she sees me, her expression shifts from fury to a kind of desperate, wild-eyed plea. "Marcus, you came back." She drops the ceramic shard, which clatters onto the already debris-strewn floor. The sound of broken glass crunching underfoot as she takes a step towards me is a sickening symphony of destruction. "Sarah?" I say, my voice colder than I've ever heard it. The shock is quickly being replaced by a glacial anger. This isn't the act of a heartbroken woman. This is a calculated, vengeful demolition. I didn't mean for it to get like this," she stammers, gesturing vaguely at the chaos around her. I was so angry, so hurt that you left. You drove me to this, Marcus." Before I can respond, her mother, Carol, pushes past the officers at the door. She must have arrived while we were on our way. Her eyes sweep the room, taking in the destruction, then land on Sarah. Instead of shock or dismay at her daughter's actions, her expression hardens with a fierce, protective loyalty. "Sarah, darling, are you all right?" Carol rushes to her side, ignoring the police, ignoring me, Jake, and Emma, who have now crowded into the doorway. "Marcus, how could you do this to her? You've driven her to a complete breakdown." She glares at me, her voice dripping with accusation. "This is all your fault. You and your selfishness." The audacity is breathtaking. Even now, surrounded by the evidence of Sarah's violent outburst, her mother tries to twist the blame onto me. One of the officers steps forward, his voice firm. "Ma'am, I think you need to calm down. Your daughter has broken into Mr. Thorne's apartment and caused significant damage." "He provoked her," Carol insists, her voice rising. "He's been emotionally abusing her for months." I've had enough. The quiet power move. I step forward, my phone in my hand, already open to the gallery of evidence. "Actually, officer," I say, my voice clear and steady despite the tremor in my hands, "I have evidence that shows a very different story." I calmly show the officer the screenshots of Sarah's fabricated messages, the location tracking data, the recording of her admitting to hiding my medication. I explain the threats, the isolation, the systematic campaign of coercive control. Jake and Emma corroborate my story, their voices adding weight to my testimony. Mrs. Henderson also tearfully recounts seeing Sarah break in. As the officers look through the evidence, their expressions growing increasingly grim, Sarah seems to shrink. The fight drains out of her, replaced by a dawning realization of the consequences of her actions. Her mother continues to bluster, to accuse, but her words are losing their impact in the face of the cold, hard facts I'm presenting. One officer turns to Sarah. "Ma'am, based on Mr. Thorne's evidence and what we've witnessed here, I'm placing you under arrest for breaking and entering and malicious destruction of property." Sarah lets out a strangled sob, her eyes wide with panic. "No, please, Marcus, tell them! Tell them it was a mistake! Tell them you'll forgive me!" I look at her, standing amidst the ruins of the life we once shared, a life she so ruthlessly tried to control and then, in a final desperate act, tried to destroy. There's no anger left, just a profound, weary sadness and a steely resolve. "No, Sarah," I say quietly, "I won't." As the officers handcuff a now hysterical Sarah, her mother continues to shout, blaming me, blaming Jake, blaming everyone but her daughter. Sarah, being led away, turns to me one last time, her voice a venomous hiss. "This isn't over, Marcus. You'll regret this." The threat hangs in the air, but it has lost its power. I have the evidence. I have witnesses. I have the truth. And soon I'll have a restraining order. As they lead her out, the sound of her receding sobs is a strange, unsettling counterpoint to the crunch of broken glass under the officer's boots. The apartment is a disaster, a physical manifestation of the emotional wreckage Sarah has caused. But amidst the chaos, there's a flicker of something else. Relief. And the first tentative steps towards reclaiming my life. The courtroom is cold, impersonal. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting a sterile glow on the polished wood and worn linoleum. It's a far cry from the crackling campfire and the scent of pine trees, but there's a different kind of sanctuary here. The sanctuary of the law. Liam stands beside me, calm and confident, his presence a reassuring bulwark against the anxiety churning in my gut. Sarah sits across the room with her lawyer, looking pale and diminished. Her mother is behind her, her expression a mixture of defiance and worry. The judge, a stern-faced woman with intelligent eyes, listens patiently as Liam presents our case. He lays out the evidence meticulously. The screenshots, the recording of Sarah's confession, Jake's and Emma's sworn affidavits, the police report detailing the break-in and the destruction of my property. He speaks of coercive control, of medical endangerment, of stalking and harassment. The words, spoken in the dispassionate language of the law, paint a chilling picture of Sarah's actions. When it's Sarah's lawyer's turn, he tries to paint her as a victim, a heartbroken woman driven to desperate measures by a neglectful boyfriend. He speaks of her love for me, her fear of abandonment. But the evidence is overwhelming. Her tearful, rambling testimony on the stand only seems to highlight her instability, her manipulative tendencies. The judge's ruling is swift and decisive. The restraining order is granted. Sarah is legally barred from contacting me, from coming within 500 feet of my home or workplace. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. The crisp sound of the judge's gavel striking the wood is a sound of finality, of justice. Relief, so potent it almost buckles my knees, washes over me. It's over. The legal battle, at least. Walking out of the courtroom, Emma and Jake on either side of me, feels like stepping into a new, brighter world. The air seems cleaner, the sun warmer. The weight that has been crushing me for months finally begins to lift. The weeks that follow are about rebuilding, both literally and figuratively. My apartment is a mess, but with the help of Emma, Jake, and a few other friends Sarah hadn't managed to drive away, it slowly starts to resemble a home again. We clean, we repair, we replace. Each mended item, each fresh coat of paint, is a small act of reclaiming my space, my life. More importantly, I begin to rebuild the relationships Sarah tried so hard to destroy. There are long, emotional conversations with my parents, clearing away the misunderstandings, the hurt. They are shocked and horrified by what Sarah did, their love and support a healing balm. I reconnect with Dave, with other friends I'd lost touch with, explaining, apologizing, rebuilding those frayed connections. There's surprise, anger on my behalf, but mostly there's understanding and a willingness to welcome me back. The emotional reunions are bittersweet, a reminder of the time lost, but also a testament to the resilience of true friendship. I start therapy, working through the trauma of the emotional abuse, learning to recognize red flags, to trust my own judgment again. It's a slow process, but each session brings a little more clarity, a little more strength. My new perspective on relationships is hard-won. I see now how Sarah's early charm, her intense focus on me, her desire to always be together, weren't signs of deep love, but warning signs of possessiveness, of a need to control. I learn about love bombing, about gaslighting, about the insidious nature of coercive control. I'm more cautious now, more observant, but not cynical, just wiser. One quiet evening, sifting through the salvaged remnants of my belongings, I find a small, undamaged notebook. An idea, sparked by my own experience, begins to take root. A few weeks later, I start a small, informal support group for others escaping manipulative relationships. We meet in a quiet room at the local community center. We share stories, offer support, empower each other. It's a quiet power move, turning my pain into purpose, my experience into a beacon for others. Life settles into a new rhythm, a healthier rhythm. Work is good, friendships flourish. There's laughter again, genuine and easy. The metallic taste of panic is a distant memory, replaced by the quiet confidence of a man who has faced his demons and emerged stronger. A few months later, I'm at a coffee shop with Jake, planning our next camping trip. A real one this time, uninterrupted. My phone buzzes. It's a message from a mutual acquaintance, someone Sarah and I both knew peripherally. "Hey, Marcus. Sarah asked me to reach out. She says she's really sorry, she's getting help. She just wants to know if you'd be willing to talk." I read the message, a faint echo of the old anxiety stirring, then quickly fading. I know her patterns now. This is a test, a probe, an attempt to see if the door is still open, even a crack. I show the message to Jake. He raises an eyebrow. "What are you going to do?" I smile, a genuine, relaxed smile. I type a brief, polite refusal. "Thank you for passing on the message, but no, I've moved on. I wish her well in her recovery, but I have no interest in further contact." I hit send, then delete the message thread. The crisp sound of legal papers being signed in that courtroom months ago had been a closing chapter. This quiet refusal is the first sentence of a new one, a life lived on my own terms, free from manipulation, full of authentic connections, and always, always with my medication safely where it belongs. My commitment is to my new, healthier life, and nothing and no one will ever compromise that again.